And I always tell people, like on my coaching calls, you do one thing, you add one thing in. You can't add
Mhm.
all the things in at once. You do one thing different. This week, you do one thing different. You choose what you want it to be, and you do that this week. Next
Mhm.
week, add the other something else in, one thing at
Right.
a time. If you try to completely overhaul your routine and your system, you're just not
Mhm.
going to do it.
You
It's
won't.
kind of like on January 1st, everybody starts going to the gym and starts working out.
And
And
then
then, by February, the gym's empty. It's the same thing.
Mhm.
You do one thing and then build on it.
welcome to Transformative Tea Talk with Soul Aligned Living. We provide education, resources, and tips on holistic health, mindset, yoga, qigong, and Ayurveda.
Today we're talking about self-care.
Right. And this came about because we did it was a couple of weeks ago, I think we did a tea talk on self-love. And so one way you can develop your self-love is through self-care. That's like one of the
Mhm.
that's the first step. You got to take care of yourself.
We're coming up with 5 things that we do for self-care. All right. So, me, my self-care involves making lists and setting timers because I have realized that I will go down a rabbit hole or ADD paralysis and do nothing. So, that is part of my self-care is becoming aware of who I am and what my specific needs are, and realizing as an adult that I have ADHD has been like liberating because now I know that there are tools out there that I can use that help me manage this because there is no cure for ADHD. There just isn't. So I make my list and I set my timers because if I clean my room, I can get all day. 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm cleaning my room. And that's not, whew. So I set my timer. I will give myself 30 minutes or I will give myself an hour and I make a list. I have notepads everywhere and I make a list. Another thing I do is I pause and I will listen to my mind and body, and sometimes I spiral. So I will step back and take stock of how I'm feeling. Am I in pain or is my mind racing? Am I spiraling into something? And I just listen to what I need. What do I need to do in this moment to pause, let go? Do I need to stop doing what I'm doing? Do I need to take, 5 minutes and just breathe and refocus? I do that. And then sometimes I just have to take the day off. Like, oh my gosh, my mind is all over the place. I'm going to take the afternoon and I'm going to go for a walk at the lake and just be in nature because I'm overwhelmed. So that's part of what I do is I just listen to myself and try to do what I need to do. Um, and the other thing is I try not to feel guilty for that because that's a big thing for me. Like I have to do so many things and concentrate on, okay, I've got to do all the things at work and I've got to do the things at home. And did I pay the bills and did I do the things? And I set so much pressure on myself to get everything completed. That I have to not feel guilty when I say, you know what, I'm going to leave work at 3 o'clock today because I have a doctor's appointment and I am worthy. I need to take that time for myself. So not feeling guilty about prioritizing self-care is a big thing on my list that I have to remind myself to do for me. Don't feel guilty, Shannon. You are worth it.
Well, I just wanted to throw in about the timer because I've done the timer thing before too, but now
Mhm.
I just have like I have a alarm, not really an alarm, it's a bell on my phone that goes off every hour to kind of
Mhm.
make me aware that an hour has went by.
Mhm.
So I still do use timers for some things, but then that's just all day long. A bell goes off every hour on the hour to alert me. It's been an hour. So if I'm working on something or if I'm doing something at work or whatever, I'm aware an hour of time has went by because otherwise I will get lost in something and I will hyper focus on something and I will be there all day long doing something.
And I want to piggyback on that. As far as self-care, I did this years ago at work. So using a timer, using my phone for in a little bit different way. Yes, I've done lists and things like that and timers, but I found something called a mindfulness bell. It's an app and it's like a
What it
gong. Is that what you use, Michelle?
Mhm.
And so every hour, my mindfulness bell would go off and I would stop and breathe. So it was my reminder to stop and breathe, to take a moment. And it even got to the point that everyone in my office would be like, oh, there's the bell. So not only was I hearing the bell and taking a moment, it kind of spread to other people. So yeah, our devices are great for timers. You know, that's one way we can use them to positively help us with self-care.
Some other things I do is I listen to music, or I listen to music when I'm overwhelmed at work. I just turn my music on. When I'm cleaning, I turn my music on. It makes me happy.
Loudly too, right?
Sometimes,
Yeah.
and sometimes I'll just put in like one earbud at work so it helps me focus.
Mhm.
But music soothes my savage soul. When I get all pitta and music and breath.
We learned in our yoga teacher training that there's something called, what did she call it, Michelle? The music yoga, the yoga. Well, it's yoga off the mat too.
Yeah,
when
I can't remember what it was called though.
She called it something. But anyway, basically you make a playlist of songs that you love. It doesn't have to be very long. And then you just play that list and you move however you feel like. That might not work in the workplace, but at home or whatever, just do your happy dance or your movement. And it just really, it's okay. You're getting movement in and the music's making you happy. I mean, hopefully it's some happy music. And, or even when Michaela and I used to do the 1 minute break, and we do the happy dance for 1 minute.
Yes, 1 minute happy
to a
dance.
happy song. Yeah, it
Yes.
really like lifts you. So music's really good, Shannon, for self-care.
Yeah, so I have to music, and then I try to get in 5 minutes of qigong. Actually, I try to do something with my qigong every day, whether it's reading the books, or I try to move some qigong movements every day, but trying to perfect my practice, read a little bit more about it, understand it a little bit more. So learning. And then my other self-care is I read my own tarot cards. When I feel like the world is crazy and I don't know what to do next, I am like, okay, universe, talk to me, show me the right direction, show me the way, and I pull out my cards.
Yeah.
And I like for Shannon to do my tarot cards too. Like her to, because hers are always so very insightful. And
Yes.
my cards are in storage also. But even whenever I had my own cards, I would call Shannon, or we'd be on the phone and be like, pull me a card, because hers, she just is so insightful. And mine, I have to read out of the book because I don't have that intuition whenever it comes to the tarot cards.
I still read out of the book.
But you have that intuitiveness though in your reading though. So you read out of the book, but you also are like, this is what this means. This is what I'm getting from this. I don't have that.
I am getting better at that. Like, and I've been doing it for probably since Casadega. I think I got my first set of cards there. Yeah.
So you really do. You get, this is what I'm getting from this card. Whereas me, I get whatever the words are in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shannon's intuitive when it comes to the tarot.
Yes, she really is. So.
Okay. But yeah, those are the things that I do for my self-care. And give myself grace. A lot of grace.
A lot of grace.
Yeah. I think that's important. And a lot of the things like we all do a lot of these, and just to different degrees. So,
right.
But there's not like just 5 things that like, these are the only 5 things that I do.
Yeah.
It's a collaboration. It's a collaborative effort. So
right. You got to take care of yourself. Just like we mentioned in another tea talk, you've got to keep yourself okay and well, shining bright, so you can shine bright for others.
These are your gifts you're giving to yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yes. But
Yes.
it also, when you give this to yourself, you're able to show up for others easier.
Mhm.
So it's not
Yes.
just for others, but it's for yourself
Yes.
first. Okay. And it's not selfish.
No.
So, my first thing is just be in nature. Go put your feet in the grass, go look at the trees. Have you ever just sat and watched and listened? And I always tell people, when anybody's having a hard time, I like go into the forest, inhale the forest, like literally inhale the forest.
Mhm.
She's told me to
Trees-
hug a tree before.
And hug a tree. Yes.
I
Hug
have
a
told
tree.
my grandkids to hug a tree before. I'm like, you tell that tree you are sorry. Don't be hitting it. And they're like, why, Mimi? I'm like, does it give you shade? Does that tree take care of you? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, so then you have to love that tree.
Yes. I can touch a tree and I feel the surge of energy. So
Yeah,
I
you
even
can feel
talk
the
to
energy.
trees. I mean, you might not want to go out talking to trees, but they are so beneficial to us, and it is healing. That's why you hear of forest bathing. That's a
Yes.
thing. That's why you want to get the kids outside, get them out in nature, get them dirty.
Mhm.
Yes, hug a tree, inhale nature. It will, no matter what's going on in your life, you will feel better. And I have always been an outdoor person, but I discovered like every year when the school year would start, I would be like, I'm going to describe it how it felt. It felt like knots in my gut, like, and I felt tighter and tighter and tighter, almost like I couldn't breathe, like I was being choked. And I would realize in that moment that I had been putting all of my time and energy into working and preparing for the school year, and I had neglected self-care. I had neglected to go outside. And back in those days, I was riding my bike pretty regular. I would go on a bike ride out in nature, and I would instantly, that feeling would go away. And so that was my first inkling years and years and years ago that, wow, I need to be in nature when I'm having a bad time.
Mhm.
So nature, that's my number one thing. If it's bad, go outside, look at a tree.
Yeah.
And the second thing, any questions on nature? I think we're all pretty nature people here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I do when I'm feeling overwhelmed at work, and just
Mhm.
like, you know what, I'm going to go down to the lake. I'm going to take my shoes off and I'm going to walk the path to my little spot, and I sit down and just decompress.
Yes,
Yep.
it is so powerful. Take the time. It's so great. And you might find in those moments that you become more insightful and things come to you, solutions come to you. Anyway, I could go on about that one, but I'm going to go on to number 2. Meditation and mindfulness, making that a daily practice is one way I take care of myself. And it is almost like getting out in nature. I can tell when I'm not doing it or if I get busy. I've been doing it so long now that it's pretty much, if I don't get my morning regular meditation done, I will like stop and take a few breaths and just give gratitude for something, or 3 gratitudes, just staying in that practice. Because the older you get, the more your family expands. So I always joke, it's like, okay, I used to only have to worry about 1 baby. Then I had to worry about 2 babies. Then I had to worry about 3 babies. Then I had to worry about 4 babies. Then I had to worry about step babies. Then they started getting partners. Now I got to worry about my babies and their partners. Now I got to worry about all these other people. Now, then they had babies. Now I got to worry about all my babies' partners and all their babies. And then they had more babies. And so it's just like, so I've got all this worry. And then now my babies are having babies. So now I gotta worry about all those babies. And not to mention my friends and other, it's just like, it's overwhelming. So if I did not meditate, if I did not take a moment to take a breath, I would be curled up in a fetal position, unable to even function. Truth.
Yes. So gratitude, Michelle. I remember you telling me be grateful, like when you're
Yes.
worried and stressed, and find something to be grateful for, and be grateful for something that is driving you crazy.
Yes.
Like the screaming kids
Yes.
or the dirty dishes. I am
Yes.
so grateful. She was like, switch it. I am so grateful that the kids have healthy lungs, or that they are well fed and there is a sink full of dishes.
Mhm.
Well,
Oh,
and
it's hard.
that's like mindfulness. You see,
Yep.
okay, the kids are driving me crazy right now. They're being loud, and
Yep.
I'm trying to do this. But if you just stop and take a breath,
Yes.
and then look at the children, look at the joy,
Mhm.
look at what they're doing. I mean, of course, if they're trying to hurt themselves or whatever, but but usually the things that are driving us crazy
Mhm.
are just kids being kids.
Yeah.
And so we have to kind of refocus and look at that from a different perspective. And mindfulness, when you practice mindfulness, you're easier, it's easier to do that.
Mhm.
So daily practice, even if it's just 5 minutes, even if it's
Mhm.
just saying 3 gratitudes, take a moment
Yeah.
for yourself. That's my self-care. It's very important. Number 3, we've already talked about. Shannon, you mentioned on that, is moving daily, move my body daily. I used to work out every day, and then I started my yoga teacher training, and then I did, so now I'm doing yoga, and I would beat myself up because it's like, okay, now you're not working out. And then I was so busy studying for yoga, I wasn't doing yoga. And so but no, it's any kind of movement. It doesn't have to be a 20-minute workout or an hour yoga session. It can be a walk. It can be, I have a habit when I brush my teeth, I'll do tree pose. I might tiptoe. I'll swing my legs. I'll do something to move my body. So I get 4 things in. Sometimes I'll squat the whole time. It just depends. But there's time to like purposeful movement of my body.
Mhm.
Shannon, you like have a question?
No, I just thought of something. I had an aha moment. I think next time I brush my teeth, I'm going to see how long I can hold a horse stance.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's you brushing your teeth, because I get bored. I never took good care of my teeth because it's like, I want to sit here for 5 minutes and just stand here and do this. And so I move my body when I brush my teeth. So at the very least, I'm getting, what is it, like, I don't know, is it 4 minutes, the timer, the Sonicare? But anyway, 4 minutes in the morning, 4 minutes in the afternoon. Is it 2 minutes? Gosh, it seems like
Probably
5.
feels like 4 minutes to you, but it's really not that long.
Okay, well, whatever. But I do these things. Also, when I'm really, really busy and time is tight, I will do 5 movements 5 times a day. So 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 times a day. And it can be anything. Maybe I set the timer and I run in place, tiptoes, I don't know, just, or some yoga movement for 5 minutes. I like 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, 5 moves for 5 minutes, if that makes sense. Or it might be just whatever. The point is 5 minutes, I'm moving my body, doing something. And then I try to do that 5 times a day. Now, usually I don't get to 5 times a day because I get busy and forget, but I will usually get at least 3 in there. So I'm at least getting 3 purposeful sessions of 5 minutes in, if I don't think I'm going to have time to do more.
Yeah.
And that's important to me, because I just need to move. If I don't, I get all knotted up and I don't feel good.
And I work remotely on the computer. And so I'm sitting all day long. I'm at home, but I'm sitting
Right.
all day long. So every hour when that mindfulness bell goes off to let me know it's been an hour, I will usually stand up and do some sort of a stretch.
Right.
Mostly because my back is screaming at me by then, and sometimes
Yeah.
it's my neck. And you'll even see, like, when we do our videos, you'll see me. I'm constantly doing
Yeah.
this because, and doing that. But I'm constantly getting up and doing some type of a stretch or some type of movement throughout the day, in addition to whatever I may do in the evening. I don't do
Right.
anything in the morning movement wise because I get up and I get right on the computer. I enjoy my sleep in the morning. So I It's sleep, computer, right? It's like a 10-step thing. There is nothing in between there. I hardly ever even go pee in there. I get up and go pee in a few minutes. So
Going to pee is a form of self-care, though.
I do
mean,
go
yeah.
pee after I get
Okay.
started.
Okay, don't hold it, because as someone
No,
who's
that
No.
is so important. As
Yeah.
nurses, how many times can we,
guilty,
I can go 12 hours. I can go 12
no.
hours.
I
And
go
that's
and I
not
sit
good.
down and I log on and I like start reading my emails. I get the coffee started and I'm like looking to see what all I have to do. And then as I'm like pulling my day together, then I go to the bathroom and like do my morning stuff. So
Right.
it's like, it's a process. And then, but like my first thing is I literally roll out of bed and go straight to the computer. So
Right.
I'm not getting any movement in the morning. So I've got to do it throughout the day and then in the evening. So
yeah,
that's just my confession time right there.
yeah. And if you get the evening, if I like the evening, I always try to do yoga before I go to bed. I mean, I'm a nighttime yoga person, and even if it's 5 minutes, I will do something. And my teacher told me to do, I forget how many, but do sun salutations every day. I do at least 3 to 5 sun salutations every day, even if they're modified standing, because I'm like lazy and I'm ready to go to bed and I don't want to, it happens. So I get that movement in. It's so important. All right, the next thing I do is I make a conscious, intentional effort to nourish my body as best I can. And this is coming from someone who once thought that heating up a Frito-Lay brownie was a good breakfast for me. And I worked for Frito-Lay for a number of years, and chips were like, I could live on chips. I always wanted them to make protein chips, and I think they did, and I didn't like them. Not Frito-Lay, but somebody did. But
If we were hungry, she would literally tell us to go out to the truck.
Yeah. So I did not spend my life, I was, as a child, I was a picky eater, and then I developed some really, really crappy eating habits as an adult. And because I don't like meat, so I don't like traditional things. There's not a lot of vegetables I like. So I had gravitated towards a habit of eating just pasta with spray butter. And I couldn't figure out why my knees would swell out and I would have to go on crutches every couple of years or so, till I discovered that what I was eating was inflammatory and it was affecting me. And so I made this gradual journey. I have to give you the backstory, because you got to know, I wasn't that teenager that was nibbling on carrots and celery sticks. Nah, not at all. So I know I have come to this place. So as mindfully and intentionally as possible, I try to eat foods that nourish my body, and I don't bring foods that won't nourish my body into the house. But I will say, if I want cheesecake, I'm eating cheesecake. I'm about to go backpacking, and I've already ordered my Oreo Thin Mints, so Oreo thins. And I bought gelato because my husband's like, that why you buy gelato? I bought gelato because to cold soak, I need the jar. And so I'll have to eat the gelato. So I'm not a teetotaler, but in every way I can, I try to eat. Like, I can't. I enjoy food too much. I like food, but I have found a happy balance between eating nutritiously and also enjoying life and food.
Mindful eating.
Mindful eating. Yes, mindful eating.
We'll probably do a tea talk on just that one day. I think that's a very good topic to do, to kind of just talk about mindful eating, because we can't get into that mindset of, I can't eat these because this is bad food, because there is no bad or good food. It's just, being mindful of what you're eating, how it nourishes your body.
Right.
And what is it bringing for you in that moment that you need that food. So we'll be doing a tea talk on that soon. Don't know when, but it'll happen.
Yeah, that's a great topic, because it's huge, especially in our food industry, what all that's going on there. So the next thing, the fifth thing, is I nourish my brain. I think of my body, what needs to go into my body to make it function as best it can, but also what needs to go into my brain. And this is another thing that I wish I'd realized when I was younger, although I've always listened to, or I listened to like Earl Nightingale and, all these podcasts that back in the day that were uplifting and helpful. So, but also I had that other part where I would read the news and, listen to the news, which I'm not saying go put your head in the sand. That's not what I did. But you got to be careful with the news, because the news can be very, very, it can bring you down. It can lower your energy. It can lower your vibration, and it's not helpful. So
Yeah.
I stay away from drama. I stay away from sensationalism. Like I cannot stand thumbnails. I just stay away from that. That are negative in nature. I'm not going to be sucked into that. I want to feed my mind, grow my mind, learn positive things. How can I be a better person? All those things. Like Shannon was talking about, I want to learn more about yoga. So I try to learn for information and just nourish my brain in that way, focusing on possibilities and growing instead of the news and drama and sensationalism that's so prevalent today.
Yeah.
And I stopped following the news stations. Like when
can't.
COVID hit, I stopped following news stations. I stopped watching the news in the morning. I stopped watching the news in the evening. And any of the news stations that I was following on Facebook or anything else, I stopped. Like I blocked them. And I look at the weather from my phone in the morning, and that's it. I don't pay attention to the news anymore at all, because it's so negative. And it's like they're feeding us the negativity. They don't tell us all the good things. It's just always negative. And it's done in such a way that it's manipulation of the facts sometimes. So I can't tell you, I mean, just that one change. And it was part of a decluttering challenge I did. It was like, I don't know, 4 years ago, maybe. It was a decluttering challenge. And one of them was to stop following things that didn't bring you joy. And that was in the middle of, whenever, we have like some elections and stuff like that. And I was like, there are people that post like nonstop about elections. So I unfollowed. I can't tell you how many people, they're still my friends on Facebook. I don't see your stuff anymore because you post too much about politics if you're watching this. So like, just so we're still friends, but I don't see any of your stuff anymore, even the good stuff, because you chose to post about politics all the time. So, but I did. If it didn't bring me joy, I stopped following it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's one of the ways that I did that.
Yeah.
That's part of the big stressors in our life is, 1,000 years ago, it was only rulers of nations that had the stressors that we have. We didn't know about an earthquake in Japan. We only knew what was going on in our village. And now, because we have so much access to the entire world, we have all of that stress, and it is not good for us. So I also made the conscious decision I don't watch the news. I don't. I get a little bit every now and again when things are going on. I'll be like, oh, is there anything I need to know? Doesn't affect me in my little bubble.
Yeah.
Right. And one thing I do, though, because natural disasters do happen, and you might see that title come across your news feed on your phone, if you're looking at Google. But that's a great time to just pause and send some love and healing and peace to those that are going through it. So it's a way that we can also help by putting that prayer out there for others.
Yeah.
But if it's just like food in your brain, if you're feeding your brain with all this kind of stuff, you're not going to be able to vibrate as high as you could. You're not going to be able to function at that level. It's going to bring you down.
Yep.
It brings me down. I think I can, it's pretty universal.
Yep.
It makes you sick. It does. Just like
it does.
When you carry all of that in, it just makes you sick.
Yes. Yes.
It's depressing.
Yeah.
Like, it can be
And
so
it- and it-
depressing, and then you start focusing on it, and it just brings you down.
Yeah.
Sure.
It does it. One question I ask myself a lot is, is this for my highest good? How would this serve me? And I've had to do that because, I've gotten into, we've all like binge watched stuff or done, whatever the activity is. But that's one question that I mindfully come back and ask myself, how does this serve me? And a lot of times I'm like, well, it gives you something to do right now because you're kind of bored. Well, is that really serving me? Maybe I just need to do that for 5 or 10 minutes, scroll reels or whatever, and then move on. But not the
Mindless
negative stuff.
scrolling.
Yeah. That's another one we could add on there, but
Yep.
timers
Yep.
come in handy for that.
I was just gonna say timers.
Yeah. I mean,
Set a limit.
there are some good reels. They're not, I just scroll past the ones that are going to bring my energy down. But
I just did a reel. I don't know if you guys saw the reel that I did where it was like, time to stop scrolling. I don't know if y'all saw that. I did that. And I did it was time to stop scrolling, take a deep breath, and it was one of those. So it's like, while you're scrolling, here, do this.
Yeah.
So I threw that in there.
It's so easy to get, to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, because I do it. That's what I do set a timer. I'll say, I'm only going to do this till 9:15. And then I'll look at the time and it's like 10:30.
Yeah.
So now I set a timer for that, because otherwise you just, and the thing is, it's giving you that serotonin. So you just keep doing it. But then it's like, well, now I've spent all this time doing this and it's nothing for my highest good. Nothing at all. It's just mindless scrolling. I could have been doing something else.
Right.
Well, TikTok is how I learned I had ADHD. And it's funny because I tell people, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have ADHD. And they're like, really? Like, we've known this my entire life. Like, Mom, you are the most ADHD person we know.
Yeah. Like, I couldn't believe when she told me she thinks she has ADHD. It was like when my brother told me he thinks he has ADHD, and I'm like, you think? Like,
I learned on TikTok. I was so unaware.
My mind was blown that, like, Shannon didn't know she had ADD. Like, I was just like, what do you mean? Like, I thought everybody just knew that we had ADHD. Like, if you're watching this, you have ADD. Just know everybody in this world has ADD, and it's not because of us. It's because of our society that we live in, where we, we have to, conform to societal norms. So, like, I'll get on the soapbox, but I'll be on it for like 30 seconds. Somebody tell me when 30 seconds is over. It's our society that we live in is geared for sitting still for 8 hours a day and doing nothing. And that's what we put our kids in school, and they learn how to do that from a young age. And that's not what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be out and foraging and rummaging and trying to find food and things like that, out planting and harvesting and going out and hunting for our food. We're supposed to be doing that. We're not supposed to be sitting at a computer all day. So we don't really have ADD. We are not disordered. You are not disordered. Our society is disordered. I don't know if I hit 30 seconds or I went over it, but I'm going to stop talking about that now, because that is a big soapbox of mine, because we are not
under a minute.
We are not disordered.
Awesome. Our society
is disordered. Yes, we all have ADD because of our society.
Right. Okay. And what do you do for self-care, Michelle?
So I do almost all of those things, not on a regular basis, all of them, some of them on a regular basis. So I tried to come up with a list a little bit different, because, we all want, we all do a bunch of the same things. So, but there are some things that I do differently. I try to dry brush every single day. I don't hit it every day, but I do try to dry brush every day. And then I do a massage every day. And it's called, in Ayurveda, it's called Abhyanga. It's a Sanskrit word. And that's with oils. So I basically lather myself up with oils and I massage it into my skin. I try to do it every day, but if I don't do it every day, I'll do part of my body every day. So my face is basically done every day. And then my hair, I try to oil it like once a week or once every 2 weeks. And I basically will put sesame oil in my hair and then I'll braid it and I'll keep it like that for 2 days. So everybody always talks about my hair, how long it is and how nice it is. It's because I oil it regularly. And then if I can't keep it in because I'm doing something, or you know, like if I have to go to work, I can't have oil in my hair because it just looks not good. So I'll put oil in there and I'll let it stay in for like an hour or two before I take a shower. So, but I like to leave it in overnight. I like to sleep with it in there.
And what kind of oil do you use?
I use sesame oil for my hair, especially.
Can you use coconut oil?
You can, but coconut oil is very drying for your hair.
Okay.
So you don't really want to use coconut oil for your hair.
Okay.
And I would love to be able to tell you right now, like the different oils that you can use, but everybody needs a different oil based on their constitution and then on the time of the year. So we might do another talk about that one day, but because it is individualized. But sesame oil is one of those good oils that you can use. So that's my go-to. And even if it's just like every morning, I usually do sesame oil on my face. I flipped over to ghee here lately, but I still am doing sesame oil also. It's good for your skin. I don't use any of the commercial products for skincare because they actually deplete your skin. So I stopped using commercial skincare products, except for my makeup, but I only do a little bit. And I get vegan.
Michelle sells an excellent line of skincare products that are organic and made in her kitchen.
Yes.
Yes. Sorry, shameless
so
plug, Michelle. I love that.
Yeah, really
Thank
good.
you. So I stopped using commercial products because they are made to actually destroy our skin, so we'll buy more. So I stopped using those a few years ago and I started making my own. And then we do have, have a line of things, and I'm working on more things right now as I'm learning more in Ayurveda, and through my herbalism class, I'm creating new things as well. So, and those are all in the works. But that's what I do. At least I try to do part of that every single day. I earth every single day. I go outside and do some type of earthing every day. It might be for just 5 minutes. I like to sit out there for as long as I can, but with the heat, like the heat wave we're having right now, it might be just a few minutes, then I come back inside. But I try to do that every single day. And then I try to focus on doing some type of high vibrational activity every single day. And so I don't watch a lot of TV. I'll watch an episode on Netflix, maybe once or twice a week, if that. Sometimes I'll go weeks and not watch anything, even though I pay for Netflix and like all of these things for the kids. And I want it available to me when I want to watch it. But like, I don't watch TV. Watching TV is a low vibrational activity. I don't do it. You get sucked in and it's just not good for you. I know, Shannon, I'm sorry, but it's just not.
There are some shows that I am not giving up yet.
Yeah. And I do watch, like I have certain shows that I watch, but I don't sit and binge watch. I used to sit and I would just watch, like I would turn it on in the morning and I would watch it all day long. And then I'd be at the end of, a whole series and be done and be like, okay, now what am I going to watch? So I just stopped doing that. I don't do that. Yeah. And so now I will watch once a week. I'll watch an episode of something, and if that again. But cleaning your space, I try to make sure my space is clean and tidy. That's self-care for me because I get agitated whenever things are out of order and chaotic and a mess. So for me, that's one of my higher vibrational activities, is that purging and I don't keep stuff. Like I don't like having a bunch of clutter. You can't tell that by how I just cleaned my house out when I was trying to move. you wouldn't know that I regularly donate and get rid of stuff, but just wouldn't. But I try to read every day. I try to do affirmations. I'm not so good at the journaling. I'm trying to do the journal challenge with everybody else, but I'm not so good at like sitting down and doing that with everything else going on. So I try to hit it when I can. And then try to do some yoga when I can. So those are like higher vibrational activities. And I think I mentioned in one of our prior Tea Talks that I have a PDF that kind of list out the high vibrational and then the ones that are like lower vibrational activities. I need to share that in the group. I'll need to put that in the files.
Yeah, that would be a great tool.
Because it lists out the things that are high vibrational and things that will lower your vibration. And if you're doing some of the lower vibration, it's okay, because we're not perfect. It's about balance.
Yeah.
And then I think one of you also said, like, you're talking about the like flipping the, like I say, flip the script. So whenever I get like into a negative mindset, I try to flip it and be like, okay, so what can I say differently? And bless Shannon's heart, last week, I think I was in my own negative spiral, and Shannon's trying to flip the script for me, and I'm like, you're not helping. was trying to be my own inner voice for me in that moment, because mine was gone. I was like, it was not a good moment for me, but I'm human and I can do that too. I can have normal human emotions.
Yeah.
So, but my typical is I'm able to flip that script myself. Like that's what I do. Something negative comes in and I'm like, that's not what we're going to do. And I kind of refer to it as like the Scarlett O'Hara thing. I'm not going to think about it today, but it's not that I'm not going to think about it. It's I'm going to flip how I see it in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So if something comes up and it's a negative thought, I flip it and say, okay, well, how can I make this positive? Or if something's going on negative, well, what about the situation is positive? And try to do it like that. Because there's always something positive. Sometimes we just have to hunt a little bit more for it.
Yeah, you may have heard before, when you change the way you look at things
Yes.
change.
Yes.
Wayne Dyer said it, but I think somebody said it before him.
Yeah.
But it's so
yeah.
true.
Yeah. So, like right now, it's so hot outside. It is so hot outside. So I can't go outside. I can't do my earth thing during the day on my lunch break like I usually do. So I could get really negative about that. Or I could be like, but I'm going to go out whenever the sun goes down and I get to enjoy, the evening air instead. And I can find plenty of stuff to do inside, on my lunch break. That's, so it's just trying to find something to replace that's a more positive thing, or to just flip your mindset about whatever's going on. And I could give lots of examples, and we can do that one day.
We can, yes.
What is that thing that you say when something bad comes in, something cancel, delete?
Yeah, if I think of something really, really bad, because, like our minds are set to go to the negative. And so like I'll have a thought and it'll be something like really bad. Like one of my kids get into an accident, and then it's like, I'm like, oh my gosh. And I feel like this like fear and anxiety and all that. And I'm like, don't wish that on them. Cancel, clear, delete. So I cancel,
clear, delete.
Take that away. Like all of a sudden, it'll come in my mind, and I'm just like, oh my God, that is not something I want to think about.
Yeah.
And so I cancel, clear, delete that thought out of my mind. And then I start thinking about their future. So whichever child that was, or friend or whatever, I start seeing good things, positive things, only the best things for them. So I take a moment to flip it to only the best things. And I visualize that for a moment. So
we're pre-programmed, I think, there's a word, I can't say the word, to think of things in a catastrophic.
Yes.
You know what I'm trying to say? I can't get my tongue. Yeah. So, and maybe that's our news conditioning over the years.
So.
And, but it's like, I had to adopt, because we travel all the time, and like, so I have to, one thing that I've done that to help me so much, very similar to what you've done, Michelle, is I would think all these negative things, like all this bad stuff. And I'd be like, whoa. And I'd be like, yeah, but what can go right today?
Yeah.
So I totally changed the story right in that moment. I'd be like, well, we pack up, no problem. The traffic
Yep.
is great. We have driven through like really busy cities and the
Yeah.
traffic is lighter than usual. Now, my perception, maybe, but I don't know. I told myself the story of all that can go right that day.
Yeah.
And it's just my go-to now. So I don't sit over here and do this and worry, because I come from worry is in my genes. It just is. It's like my mother, bless her heart, was probably
She was the master worrier. If there was something to worry about,
yeah,
she was
see,
worried about it.
so
If there
I
wasn't
mean,
anything to worry about, she was still going to worry about it.
she would worry about things that I never even thought to worry about. And then I would be
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, I didn't know. I'm like, "Ooh." So it's like, that was my conditioning as a child. And that, yeah, so anyway, what can go right today has been so helpful for me, just getting over here and being able to travel and not worry about all the things that can go wrong, because I don't think about them now, because I've conditioned my mind, I've trained my mind to go to what can go right.
And then on the flip side of that is, at the end of the day, when things have went wrong, as they inevitably, I can't
And
talk,
yeah,
inevitably will, at some point, then at the end of the day, instead of focusing on the one thing that went wrong and making your entire day bad because of one thing went wrong, what went right today? So
Yeah.
if you're doing that in the morning, my intention is what can go right. And then at the end of the day, you're what did go right. And you're looking
Right.
back over your day, focusing on all of the good things that happened and not that one negative thing that happened, because we tend to focus on that one negative thing. So you have to
Right.
kind of flip the script and focus on all of the good that happened, because there's so much good that happens every day. And then we're
Right.
stuck on that one bad thing. And research has shown, I think, that if you have one negative thought, you have to have 5 positive to counteract it. So, and if you look at your day, you didn't have 5 bad things usually. Sometimes you can have just a really, really crappy day and 5 things might happen. But how many good things happen? So at the end of your day, if you're laying in bed, think, okay, but what happened good today? So that's one of the things I do. And then I do my 5 thank yous at night also.
Yes.
There has to be 5 things I'm thankful for every night before I go to bed. And then if it's been a particularly hard day, not only 5 things I'm thankful for, but 5 reasons why I'm thankful for each of the 5 things.
Yeah.
And it shifts your mindset to gratefulness and to being mindful of that.
That's beautiful. Go ahead.
That's okay. So, and then the last thing I do is self-inquiry. So if there's anything going on and it's not going the way I want it to go, I have to do self-inquiry as to what is it trying to show me? What is it trying to teach me? And so many people know that I am right now on this venture to live full-time traveling in an RV. My parents, both set of my parents, full-time RV. But right now I'm not in that space yet. And so I'm trying to find one that will work for what I need it to work for and within my budget without me having to finance, because I don't want to be in debt further on this venture. So what I'm running into is either it doesn't work, or by the time I can even look at it, it's already gone. So I have to constantly think, okay, I could be like, oh, well, this just isn't for me. It's not going to happen. But instead, I have to focus my mind on the universe is always conspiring in my favor. The universe is supporting me. And then in this situation, how is the universe supporting me? And then that's what I focus on, instead of, oh, well, I didn't get this one and getting all down and upset because I didn't get that one. I have to, and it's a conscious effort every single day that I have to make to do that, because I will get into well, maybe this isn't the right thing. Maybe I'm doing the wrong thing. Those thoughts still come into my mind. Like I'm normal, I'm human. It's a conscious effort that I put forth every day to say, okay, what is the universe trying to tell me? What is the universe showing me? How is the universe supporting me in that? And that's how that's my biggest form of self-care, is constantly reshifting how my mind is thinking about things. and putting forth that effort. And if I don't put forth the effort, I will spiral quicker than anybody else that I know. It has to be a very, very conscious effort. It's not that it's like, I don't know, people have told me like it comes so easy to you. No, it does not. And if you talk to either one of these ladies right here, you will know, because they're the ones that get the the phone calls and the texts from me that are like, oh my God, and then, and so it's not something that comes easy. I have to work very hard at that mindset of and constantly working towards that.
Yeah.
So, that was a little tangent there on that, but
Same.
I just, it's not easy. And when I'm doing coaching calls, especially, the people I work with, well, it's a struggle, and it is a struggle. And the words I'm saying, sometimes it makes it look like it's easy, but it's not easy. It is very difficult to do, to shift that mindset. And it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a long time to do.
Yeah.
But that is a form of self-care. And I think that of all the things I do for self-care is probably the most important thing I do.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great note to end on, I think.
Yes.
Is because that's an awareness, and you can only grow from that.
Yeah.
So self-reflection, self-inquiry.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Stop and take those minutes through the day and assess yourself.
Yep.
See where we're at.
Yep.
All right.
So this list could go, it could go on and on and on though, right?
Oh yeah, it could. We could go on forever.
It doesn't
on
end.
this.
We try to keep it at 5 because so maybe you could glean some things from this, but
Yes.
the more we talk,
Yeah.
the more I'm thinking of, and
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll cover
I
those on
made a
another
list
tea
of
talk.
some of the things that you guys do that I'm going to start incorporating in mine.
Yeah.
Like add 5 minutes of movement 5 times a day, add,
Yep.
little things, just to squeeze them in there.
Yep.
Yeah. Good stuff.
That's it. And I always tell people, like on my coaching calls, you do one thing, you add one thing in. You can't add all the things in at once. You do one thing different. This week, you do one thing different. You choose what you want it to be, and you do that this week. Next week, add something else in, one thing at a time. If you try to completely overhaul your routine and your system, you're just not going to do it. It's kind of like on January 1st, everybody starts going to the gym and starts working out. And then, by February, the gym's empty. It's the same thing. You do one thing and then build on it.
Yeah.
And so if everyone here could just share maybe one, like in the comments, one thing you do for self-care to help others, help everyone. It's because we're all different, and there may be something specific that will resonate, that you do that will resonate with others. So drop that in the comments and let us know.
Yeah.
And learn from each other here.
2 things in the comments. One thing in the comments, what you do for your self-care, so we can learn from you. And number 2 is there something that we've said today that you're going to put into practice because of this tea talk?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's it.
Let us know. All right. You guys have a great day, and we'll see you next tea talk.
Yes.
Bye.